Good morning. Of House Public Safety. Clerk will open the roll. Members will note their attendance on the electronic voting board. The clerk will close the roll, and although we have nothing to vote on, we have a quorum just in case. So we're in good shape there. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming this morning. We have a number of guests from the cabinet that are here. They've agreed to come on, frankly, rather short notice, so I appreciate that. But given the circumstances that are going on in the world today, we thought it would be useful to hear from the administration about how the current activity in the Middle East and overseas may be affecting Virginia and our public safety concerns. And so I think we've got with us more than folks that I have listed on the agenda. We have our Secretary of Public Safety, Stanley Meter. We've got the Adjutant General, General Ring. It looks like we've got the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Secretary Williams, and the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary Figueroa, with us as well. You guys have brought some backup too, I guess, in case you get any really hard questions. Secretary Meter, if you want to go ahead and kick us off, I think probably is the best thing to do. And give me just 1 second here. I had a question that I wanted to sort of kick us off with. I just got to find it. Yeah, I guess I sort of alluded to it earlier, but given the growing international conflict, how are you all coordinating with state, local, and federal partners on public safety issues, and how is it impacting your work here in the Commonwealth?
Certainly. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, delegates, members of the committee. Specific to our connectivity that we have with our local, state, and federal partners. At this point, we don't have anything that is Virginia-centric in the threat space specifically. However, I would always caveat that with, even though we might not have that, that does not mean that we should not always be in a state of preparedness from the public safety perspective. What we do specifically with our local, state, and federal partners is we are engaged on multiple levels. One of the most important areas where you will see us connected is our participation in federal task forces. You know, we do have, by way of the state police, representation on the Joint Terrorism Task Force. Fortunately, that entity has an executive board that's led by the FBI. We are part of that executive board. They have convened their meeting, which is the right thing to do. We were a part of that initial briefing. So that is, again, another opportunity where you have police chiefs, sheriffs, and other agency leaders together in a coordinated effort to address any information or intelligence that we might have or they may be seeing coming in the threat space. The second area that you will see positive connectivity is by way of the Fusion Center at the Virginia State Police. They host monthly meetings. Those meetings are attended, again, similar fashion. You have local, state, federal representation, and you also have key critical infrastructure nodes are also present in that space. So again, it's another opportunity to share information, intelligence, and stay connected in that space. So those are just a few areas where we stay up to date, not to mention the phone calls that we will have often on a daily basis, just assessing where we're at and things we need to be doing to be proactive.
Thank you for that. I have a couple more questions. Does anybody else on the committee have any questions before we get into those? So another thought I had, and maybe you could give us some help on, is I know that one of the areas where we're concerned about we're not worried about necessarily a physical threat to the homeland and to Virginia, but I know that one of the things we're told to be on alert for are cyber attacks and cyber activity and electronic activity. Do you guys have any sort of tips or practices or things that we could do to sort of build resilience in the communities in the cyberspace?
Certainly, Chairman. Thank you for the question. If I go back in my 28 years of being in law enforcement, I would tell you that we should, again, I will keep reiterating, we should always be in a heightened state of preparedness, regardless of the external circumstances going on around the globe. Specific to cybersecurity, it is always a good time for businesses especially to review their incident response plans, ask themselves even if they have a response plan. If not, they need to have one in place. But more specifically, the scenario that I would often give businesses is if you came into your business today and you were completely shut down, what would you do? Do you even know who to call? Those are questions that I think from a business perspective, businesses should ask themselves to make sure that they are prepared and have that contact information. There are a number of resources by way of the Fusion Center. They can go to the Fusion Center online. There's a reporting mechanism there for suspicious activity that they can report. And also, anyone can report any cyber-related issue at ic3.gov. That is a federal website. It's ran by the FBI, but that is the central clearinghouse where all complaints come in specific to the cybersecurity space. So that's, again, another resource. And on those sites, there's also additional resources for businesses and the like to go to for information.
All right, thank you. And this question, I know that we talked about this a little bit, and maybe Secretary Figueroa can give us some insights on this as well, but we're starting to hear about Virginians who've been evacuated from embassies overseas and are making their way back, or trying to make their way back to Virginia. What are we doing for those folks, and how is that operation going?
It's going well, and I would defer to the Secretary if I may. That's under the Department of Social Services, under Secretary Figueroa's purview, so I defer to him.
Absolutely.
If I may.
Secretary Figueroa? Phone a friend, deference, whatever you want to call it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, great question. Under Section 1113 of the Social Security Act, Virginia is designated a port of entry, with Dulles being that port of entry. So as of right now, what we do know is that the federal government intends to send Virginia a letter saying that it wants to use Dulles moving forward to evacuate, to repatriate. What we don't know at the moment is the number of flights, the number of people, but we do know that it is imminent.
All right, thank you. And what's our worst case, best case scenario? I mean, what exactly do you guys do? Should we get a big surge in these folks coming in?
Yeah, so a lot of what happens during the repatriation happens on the flight over, right? So during the flight over, they're getting folks citizenship documents, they're understanding who's in the plane. This program is designed for American citizens and legal permanent residents. So that is the expectation. As you know, sometimes you have expectations and they don't meet reality, but that is the expectation right now. During that flight, you're also understanding the different needs that people may have. So some, because they're American citizens, already have an understanding as to where they want to go, family members, and so you're working through that process on the way over here. On the way, when they get here, we will have set up an emergency repatriation center, and that is more intake. So doing screenings, temporary lodging if necessary, but we will understand the needs of those individuals in that flight.
All right, I have a question from Delegate McClure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This question is for Secretary Mader. So you mentioned the Fusion Center is coordinating with local governments. I'm just curious about how the Fusion Center is coordinating with neighboring states and also regional partners, given our proximity to D.C.
I missed. Could you repeat that again? I missed a couple
so
of words.
just how the Fusion Centers are coordinating with neighboring states and regional partners, given our proximity to D.C.
Yes, well, one of the things that's important, and I should have highlighted it earlier, is as the Secretary of Public Safety, I sit on the Homeland Security Executive Committee, which is under the Council of Governments, referred to as the COG. That is in D.C. That is a conglomerate of metropolitan D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. We just had that meeting last week, week before. So that is one area where directly from the Secretary's office and through VDEM that we sit in partnership on that committee and addressing issues and from a coordinated effort that could very well relate to this type of scenario cross border.
Thank you, Secretary. Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Probably for Secretary Mader, but whoever needs to take it. Just, do we have standing plans for non-combatant evacuation NEO operations in Virginia to be supportive either at Dulles or elsewhere? So as the national government engages in non-combatant evacuation activities wherever it takes place, is there a role for Virginia on an ongoing basis? Are we aware of that? Like, you mentioned setting up for returning Americans. Is that something that we just plan to do in general if such a situation arises globally?
I think I will look to the Secretary to see if that's input from DSS's side on that. Yeah, we need to take that back and come back to you with the response there.
All right, Mr. Chair, just quick follow-up question.
Delegate Helmer.
I would be very curious. I mean, it does seem in previous eras where hostilities might be imminent that the national government and the President of the United States, through the governors and through the Department of Defense, have provided advanced opportunities for American citizens and Virginians to be able to evacuate. My understanding right now is that American citizens in the Middle East, as a result of this conflict, are stuck in place. And I just wondered if there's been adequate communication from the federal government in advance to allow us to prepare, allow Virginians to be prepared for what was coming, to get out of those places and to be ready for us to receive them, or if we're just playing catch up now.
Again, I would defer maybe to Secretary Williams or anything in that space specific to the federal government, DOD.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for that question. I would say certainly that is within the realm of the State Department, but I think it's wholly appropriate to look to the past to see where we would go into the future. So in past events, clearing stations, for lack of a better way to put it, were established at Dulles Airport in that region to bring people in and process them and then flow them in to their home states. That's as good as we can do at this stage of the game, but we can take that back and do some more research just to make sure that we do touch that for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, last follow-up question, if that's okay.
Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Secretary Williams. So just so I understand, normally we would already have clearing stations set up knowing that there was going to be the likely evacuation of Americans back to the United States, but it sounds like we don't have them now through no fault of our, or didn't have them at the outbreak of conflict. Is that reasonable, or am I misunderstanding?
More of an issue of we need to reach out to the State Department to determine whether or not they have begun that process to establish those reception stations.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Delegate Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, there was hand waving to come.
Oh,
run
sorry.
up.
Secretary Figueroa, come on up.
Just want to say that we can't set anything up until we get the letter from the federal government. And then after that, the governor has assessed whether or not we have the capacity to assist with repatriation, and then we're able to set up the center. So that is the order of operation.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify on that, if that's okay.
Delegate Helmer.
So it sounds like we have not gotten a letter.
We have not gotten it. We have had communication with the federal government. There is an understanding that it is imminent, but we haven't received anything official just yet.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Helmer. All right, Delegate Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know which secretary will be better for this question, but just wanted to ask, is there any protections around whistleblowers when it comes to the Fusion Center?
That is not a health question.
Just make sure I understand the question. Protection for?
Whistleblowers, if someone sees something that may be nefarious happening and then they would report it, what is the process? Is there a process, and are they protected without any repercussions?
Yes, there is a process, and that Mr. Chairman, yes, it's a great question. There is a process, but you hit on something that is kind of the mantra that we want to push out, and that is see something, say something. So anytime there is suspicious activity, if you go to the Fusion Center website, there is, in addition to resources there, educating you on various threat areas, terrorism, et cetera. There is a reporting mechanism there, and it also has, it's kind of two-pronged. If you have pictures, digital items that you want to submit, you can do that, or you can also just report general information at that site as well. So there is a secure site for that is currently in operation. There's also a telephone number as well that's on the website as well.
But, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Mr. Clark, or Delegate Clark, sorry.
And for the employees working there, is there also protections in place for them if they wanted to report something that they may see internally at the Fusion Center?
Yes, I would think that any employee has the ability to report. Yeah, I mean, working together or as individuals, I would say yes, they would have the ability to report.
Awesome, thank you. I know a few years ago I was at a conference and we found out, me and my freshman class at the time was shocked that a lot of states don't have whistleblower protections for their employees. So just didn't know if that was something that we had on the books or something we should be looking forward to in the future.
Having been in the job just about 7 weeks, I can take that back and ensure that we have as robust as possible.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. On that topic, I think you kind of alluded to some things. What are some things that we as delegates, like if there's things we could take back, your session's winding down, we're getting ready to head back to our local communities and our districts. What could we be doing to help assist you in your efforts at keeping the Commonwealth safe at this time?
Well, I think it's a great question, Mr. Chairman. I think that, when I look at preparedness is about connectedness. Anything that you can do to stay connected with your communities, especially those interfaith groups that you might have, is going to be a plus. We like to get our megaphone out and say, see something, say something. If you can reiterate that message and direct them to those reporting mechanisms, that is huge for us. We can't help if we don't know about it. So the more that you can help push those resources for us, we appreciate it. And also keeping that connectedness, that just a continued sharing of information and be openness to taking information and pushing it to law enforcement if you have it.
Gotcha. General Ring, it sounds like there's not a lot of impact yet on the Guard from what's happened overseas, but as long as we dragged you out here at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, do you want to give us a little bit of information about what the Guard's been up to? Since I know it's just been a few weeks since you've been in your job as well, but.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and distinguished delegates. So really do appreciate the opportunity to provide you an update on your Virginia Guard. So your Virginia Guard is globally engaged right now. We have 2 units that you all should be tracking that have been part of our annual deployment cycles. One of those is our 229th MP stationed out of Hanover. They are doing custom support for U.S. military forces within the Middle East. So they're in multiple locations. They are all safe and doing well. We monitor them on a daily basis with the overall combatant command there in CENTCOM. We also are in touch with them through secure communication as well as their family members. We do have the 180th Engineer Support Company, which is out of Powhatan. They're on the Horn of Africa and a couple of other countries in and around that doing, again, engineer support for military and coalition forces there on the Horn of Africa, primarily based out of Djibouti. We do have, as Chairman Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, provided in his update a few days ago within the F-22 program out of Langley with the 192nd Wing, which is an integrated partner with our F-22. We do have airmen supporting current operations in Iran with the F-22 programs, and that includes both aviators as well as the mission support personnel that go with that. I, as your Adjutant General, am on 2 secure calls a week with the Chief of the National Guard Bureau to look at national updates and, frankly, to look at the posture of the Army and the Air National Guard. And that also ties back into here in the homeland that we are integrated in, not only with the Fusion Center here in the Commonwealth, but also through Chief of the National Guard Bureau, the National Guard Bureau Watch, and our 54 states and territory adjutants general to keep and to be aware of warnings and indicators for response here. So I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman, and see other questions you may have.
Thank you. Delegate Homer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate the comments from the Adjutant General. I just wanted to understand, it sounds like we do have Air Guardsmen who are actively involved, although stateside, in combat operations in Iran. And I am wondering, have we been provided a legal justification for the use of our Virginia National Guard in combat operations in Iran by the Department of Defense?
Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to respond to that. So it is important to recognize that your National Guard first, in accordance with our Federalist Framework, Constitution, and federal law, is first and foremost a federally authorized force, a federally regulated force, a federally equipped force, and a federally trained force. As part of that, to answer your question, it is within the federal authority, and so that is the president as the commander-in-chief does have the authority to call forth the National Guard into Title X federal service based on the needs of the nation and as the commander-in-chief. And so those forces are federalized onto that mission set, frankly, no different from those that are in Djibouti and our MPs as well. They are in a Title X federal status. So those authorities are there, and it's under those authorities that they've been mobilized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick follow-up.
Delegate Helmer.
Question. I just want to understand the posture we're in. So currently, our National Guard conducting combat operations directed at Iran are under Title X authorities.
That's exactly right.
And we don't have a specific separate authorization to use military force or anything else that is guiding that use of military force in Iran for our National Guardmen besides the direction of President Trump to allow those guardsmen to be engaged in kinetic operations or support kinetic operations against the Iranian regime. Is that?
Yes, sir. Those are under federal authorities.
But there is no separate
statutes.
authority besides Title X that they're operating.
Well, there are, and so probably beyond this committee hearing, when we take National Guard forces and federalize them, they may be federalized under different federal codes. And so those are each unique and discrete. And I'll be glad to provide those to the chair for the committee's awareness as to what specific federal code, but it is within U.S. Code Title X, and then that's further enumerated based on the specific operation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, final question, that's okay.
Delegate Helmer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So is there, based on that right now, do we have any sense of whether Virginia National Guardsmen are likely to be forward deployed or in potential hostile zones given the scope of the conflict right now? Is there anything that, that would inhibit that deployment of them or federalization to send them there, or are we sort of just waiting for direction from President Trump and the Secretary of Defense as to where, when our guardsmen are going to be used and where?
Yes, sir. So it is important to recognize that your National Guard comprises about 40% of the total Army's combat power. It's about 30% of the total Air Force operational force. So we are an integrated partner with global operations. We on the Virginia Guard side right now regarding current operations with Epic Fury don't currently have any anticipated mission sets beyond our F-22s with the 192nd Wing supporting those. But again, that's part of the integrated federal construct relative to our military of where we could be called forth. And we always train for those most complex missions. The other part that it is important is your National Guard, your Virginia National Guard forces, frankly, as we have been since we deployed to Bosnia-Herzegovina in 2001, predating 9/11, we've been part of the steady rotational forces federalized to do global support operations. And so we do have what's called notification of sourcing, not to Epic Fury relative to Iran, but we do have notification of sourcing of future deployments that we're currently preparing for.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, General. Anybody else, any other questions? Thank you. Secretary Meador, if I could ask you something a little bit off topic on this particular topic, but I'll give you a little bit of, I think it's a curveball because I think you've probably been following some of the news. We've heard on the floor of the House and we've seen reported a lot of conversations about the stabbing death of Stephanie Mentor up in Fairfax. And I was wondering if you've been following that as well. And I guess there's some question as to whether why this particular person wasn't detained by ICE earlier, and there was a suggestion made that there'd been a failure on the part of Virginia officials to do something that would have caused them to become in ICE custody. And my understanding is that there were no detainers asked for. But can you sort of fill us in a little bit on the timeline and tell us your understanding of what's gone on with that particular incident?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can. Based on my following of this particular case, I think to your point, Mr. Chairman, I think the concern, which I do not believe, based on reporting, the concern is that the 2020 lodging of a detainer and order of removal and a response from federal authorities on what happened with that, I think is what is outstanding at this point, and trying to figure out what on the federal side, I'm obviously not going to speak on behalf of the federal government, but what was occurring in that space to why that order of removal and i.e. detainer was not followed through upon. That's, I think, would be question number one. Second question would be, fast forwarding to 2023, looking at the number of instances that he came in and out of the local county system. The number is 8, as I've been told is 8. And of all those instances that the subject would have come in and out of the system, why was there no ICE connectivity there with the detainer for any of those times that he would have been incarcerated for something? And then I think, fast forwarding, given the fact that none of those things did not occur, how was he allowed to remain here without any additional action is a lot of unanswered questions.
Right. So let me ask you a question a little bit about the detainer and how that works. Is that something that locals have to ask for, or is that something that ICE pushes down to the local level? I think that seems to be, there's a question, why do we make a phone call to ask ICE for a detainer? How does that process actually work?
Well, I think it's important to understand that you have the civil process. An ICE representative can, to simplify it, can essentially sign a piece of paper that would serve as a detainer, they would serve at the jail, and that would be the piece of paper that says, please hold on to this individual. We'd like to take him into custody, to federal custody. The second way is the judicial warrant process through signature of a judge for that detainer.
Yeah, I guess when somebody gets booked into whether it's a prison, a jail, a regional jail, or a local county facility, they get fingerprinted, they get inputted. That sends that triggers something, right? That lets ICE know, and you used to be with the FBI. I mean, the federal officials all get notice, right, when someone's brought into local custody. Is that accurate?
Through my contact with the local officials, that is the process that digital notification would have occurred each time.
Thank you. Delegate Anderson.
Sorry, I have a follow-up question kind of off of this topic. I did look into this as well. Obviously, it's something that's very recent in the news. And to your point, I saw that Fairfax in 2020 had this gentleman incarcerated for 9 days, alerted DHS from what I read, and he had a detainment and they did not collect him. But is it correct that the multiple instances of his criminal record that we are aware of that include a couple instances that appear to be violent, there was no witnesses that came forward to actually attain a prosecution and incarceration?
I would not be able to speak to that. I would defer to the reporting I've read the similar just media reporting that was the case, but I've not had any connectivity with specific to that.
Right, thank you. Delegate Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for the Secretary.
Delegate Weber.
All right, so the federal government issues a digital notification that person should be detained, correct?
It's my understanding in my contact with the locals that each time they make that intake occurs, that digital notification is made. And that would be through the criminal history process.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Weber.
So then the digital notification comes through. How does the federal government know that person is actually there? Or is it the locality that needs to inform the federal government that person is there so that they can come get them?
I would have to, Mr. Chairman, take that back and get more granular detail on that process.
Further question, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Weber.
So a locality, if they get a detainer and they don't tell the federal government, then that person can be released, correct? After.
Mr. Chairman, the detainer comes from the federal government, not the locality.
Further question, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Weber.
So the federal government says, hey, this person needs to be detained. They've been arrested. They've committed a crime. And the federal government doesn't necessarily know that person is in that particular facility unless the local government tells them that they're there for them to collect.
Mr. Secretary, I think you got it backwards, Delegate Weber. I just want
Okay.
to be
That's what
clear.
I'm trying to-
Right. So what happens is that when someone comes into custody, right, they get fingerprinted, they get booked, they get unique identifiers, all their aliases and all that are known are entered into the the NICS system, right, which is a federal database that everybody gets. And they're entered in that system, and there's alert that there's new activity, right? And so ICE and Homeland Security are able to see if anybody that's on their list has been detained, right? So if they've got a list of folks that have had past detainers or they're subject to a removal order, and this particular individual is already under a removal order, they should know now, hey, somebody somewhere in this country has this person now incarcerated, and if you want, so knowing that they'll know, yes, booked into Fairfax County on March 10th, 2026. Here's the contact number to issue your detainers. All that information at any booking is available. And then ICE's job is to respond to that and say, hey, looks like you've got one of our guys. Don't let them go until we've had a chance to come get them. I got that roughly right, Mr. Meter, Secretary Meter?
In my contact with the locals, that is the process.
So then why was he let go?
That's what everyone wants to know. All right, Delegate McClure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just taking it back to the earlier conversation, there was a request from the secretaries to push out resources to our communities. I think it was the Fusion Center and other resources. So just a request to Secretary Williams and Secretary Mader, can you compile those resources and get them to the committee so that we can push them out to our communities?
Mr. Chairman, absolutely.
Any links or anything, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, I know some folks have some other committees and meetings to get to. We'll take one more question from Delegate Zaire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for Secretary Meter, going back to this Mentor case that everybody's focused on and we're talking about, I understand that the governor has said that that ICE would need a judicial warrant to hand this fellow over. Is that accurate?
If ICE, could you repeat the question, please?
I'm just wondering, is it accurate that the governor has said that in order to hand this fellow over to ICE, that ICE is going to need a judicial warrant?
That would be correct. If they want, in the scenario, if a judicial warrant would have been in place, that would have likely occurred.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time for us this morning on a Friday morning and ending your week here with us. Thank you to members of the committee. With that, the committee will rise.